Assalamu alaikum students. Let's start our lecture number 12. In the last lecture we were discussing the working of the HTTP protocol, and we discussed that how web client contacts the web server with the help of the HTTP protocol on the web. And as HTTP protocol is an application layer protocol, and it does need connection setup, so it uses the services of the TCP protocol on the transport layer to first establish a connection between the client and the web server, and then the communication will take place in between the web client and the web server. The web client will send a web request to the web server, and web server will process the web request and send the web response back to the web client, and the page or whatever objects are there on the page, it will be displayed on the client computer in its browser. Clear? And we looked into the structure of the HTTP protocol, okay, and we have seen the HTTP request and response message. In the response message, HTTP/1.1 200 OK, this is the status line which displays you the protocol HTTP along with its version, and the status code which is 200, and the status phrase which is OK. So for the communication between the client and the web client and the web server, some status codes are used along with their phrases, and these are explained on the next slide. These are HTTP response status codes. For example, 200 code is used to indicate that the communication, the response message which has came back from the server is okay, and the connection is closed because the server has sent the response. After that, the TCP connection will be cut off, close, okay, and it was sent on this date, okay, at this time, okay. Server was the Apache web server 1.3.0 and running on a Unix machine, the operating system, and this page was last modified on Monday 22 June 1998. The page which the server has sent you, it was last modified on this date, because some of the pages, like the news pages, akhbar pages, they are very frequently updated, or the pages on which the currency rates are being displayed, these are very quickly being updated. So those pages are updated quickly. Rest of the websites, if mostly the information is not changed, these pages, their last modified date will be quite old, okay. That is why you can judge from there that how frequently this website or this web page is being updated, okay. From this date you can get an idea. Content length is 6821 bytes, and content type is text HTML page which is returned by the server, and this is the header lines. All the information about the page, about the protocol, about the web server, about the date on which it was last modified is contained in the header lines, okay. And this is the status line, this is the header line, and this is the body of the text. Data mean it is the entity body. An entity body contains the data and the message. Example here, in this case, the page which we requested was an HTML file, text file. This is the application layer protocol, HTTP. So this information which is contained here in the header line, this is composed or encapsulated by the HTTP protocol on the application layer, because HTTP is an application layer protocol, okay. And yesterday we saw in the lab that how on every layer you can look into, and in the Wireshark we have seen that if you click on the application layer, you will find the protocol working on the application layer and the data which it is going to capture through the packets, through the frame, because frame contains all the information inside it, even source MAC, destination MAC, source IP, destination IP, source port, destination port. And TCP segment contains which type of data? Application message inside it. And TCP segment does contain inside it the HTTP protocol in the TCP segment, and TCP segment will be contained in the IP packet, and IP packet will be contained in the Ethernet frame. So this is the encapsulation which I explained to you in the lab yesterday, okay. Clear? Is there any confusion here till here? Okay. So this is the data, this is the body basically, okay, where the message or where the HTML file contents will be displayed, okay, the page, actual web page, okay, clear. These are some of the status codes, okay, which are required between the client and server response. This is the codes for the server responses to the client client response messages. A few sample codes are given here. 200.301 mean moved permanently. Requested object has moved to a new location specified later in this message. Location 400 is bad request, not understood by the server. 404 is requested document not found on this server. These are different codes, okay. And now you can use the telnet service, trying out HTTP client side for yourself. If you want to try HTTP while you are on the client side and you want to try HTTP, you can telnet to your favorite web server, okay, favorite web server, and you can just type the command telnet space the name of the web server along with its port, because web server usually it is a specified well-defined web service which is on port 80, and every web server usually listen on port 80 for the web requests which are coming from the web clients, okay. So this command will open a TCP connection, because telnet, when you try to telnet on this web server on this port, definitely you have to establish a telnet connection, because the cis.poly.edu is a web server, okay, and it is listening for the client requests, and it is listening on port 80. It's mean HTTP server process is listening on port number 80 for the web client requests, and you are trying to telnet, so it will open a TCP connection to port 80 on the web server, and it is a default HTTP server port, default HTTP hypertext transfer protocol port 80 for the web servers. This is the default port, okay, at this web server cis.poly.edu. Anything typed in, it will be sent to the port 80 at this web server, clear. Type in a get HTTP request message to fetch the web page, get/rows/http version 1.1, and the host you have to tell this is the web server address, okay. Definitely this address has to be resolved first by the DNS server into an IP address, then the request can be directed to this IP address, clear. By typing in hit carriage return twice, you send this minimal but complete get request to the HTTP server, okay. Look at the response message sent by the HTTP server back to you, okay. User server state cookies. Now the concept here is going to be delivered to you is the cookies. Cookies are kept on the client's host in order to maintain the states on the client machine about the websites which you are frequently browsing, okay. And many major websites use cookies, and cookies files are kept on the client computers, and the database of the cookies is on the server side, kept on the server side, okay. 4 components are there: cookie header line of HTTP response message, cookies header line in HTTP request message sent by the client to the server, and response message sent by the server to the client back, okay. Cookie files kept on the user host. I will show you cookie file on this computer, okay, and these are managed by the user's browser, who is going to keep these files on the host computer, the browser, web browser through which you are browsing. That browser will keep the records, will keep the cookies files on your computer, okay. Backend database at the website, and the database of these cookies, that because you are browsing frequently different websites, okay, so about each website the cookie will be created on your host machine, but the website which you are browsing, definitely that web server will have a database in which the ID of your cookie will be kept, so that once your ID is there in its database, in the database of the web server, again you try to contact the same web server, they will recognize you from that ID, because that ID will be passed on to the web server through the cookies. So the cookies are helpful in passing on the user information to the web servers, okay. Suzanne always access internet always from the PC, visit a specific e-commerce site for the first time. When initiated HTTP requests arrive at the site will create a user ID. It will assign you an ID, the site, the website, the web server in its database. When you first time visit that server, it will create an entry in the database of the cookies, and it will assign you one ID. Okay, that ID, corresponding to that ID, a cookie will be created in your host machine, and your browser will create it, and browser will keep track of these cookies. Okay, entry in the backend database for that ID will be put in the web server. Okay, for example, if I will show you here the cookie files. For example, if you open the Internet Explorer and go into the browser will create the cookies. Okay, just run Internet Explorer. Okay, and I'm going to browse a website, for example google.com. Okay, okay, now let's go in the internet options, journal, and the browsing history. Cookies are basically temporary files. Okay, cookies are kept here, okay, in the browsing history portion, and just click on the setting. Okay, and in the setting just click on the view files. These are the cookies kept here, cookie number 611L6U1. okay, these are all the cookies which are kept here, okay, in this browser. Okay, this browser is maintaining the record, and this is the folder, local machine Microsoft Windows temporary internet files. These are kept in the temporary internet files folder. Okay, and who is responsible? Your browser. He is creating the entries into the temporary internet files folder for the cookies. Clear? Yeah, obviously it will be updated. Let's have a look on the remaining part of the lecture. Cookies will help you in keeping the states of the client on the servers. Okay, client computer has cookie file already on its temporary internet files folder, and this client has browsed already eBay site, and eBay assigned him an ID 8734. This cookie is already there in the temporary internet files folder. Okay, now who assigned it? Maybe the eBay database. Okay, backend database of the eBay web server. Okay, now this client is going to browse another server website. Okay, for example, it is going to now browse Amazon server, and it is going to usually send HTTP request message. The client through the web browser is going to send HTTP request message to the web server, and that web server is the Amazon web server. Okay, so Amazon web server database at the back end will create an ID 1678 for this user. Okay, it will create an entry into the backend database. Clear? And that ID, on that ID, a cookie will be set on the client machine in the temporary internet files folder by the internet browser, because the response, HTTP response from the web server will be given to the web client through the browser, and the browser will create this entry 1678, and it will set a cookie by this ID into the temporary internet files folder specifically for this Amazon web server. Clear? Now what this cookie will do? This cookie will help the server. When you next time browse the server, it will pass on your user information to the web server. Okay, look here again, a usual HTTP request message is sent over this cookie now. The cookies has already been set. Amazon 1678. See, eBay cookie was already there, and you browsed now Amazon.com. A new cookie is set, and the record is kept. Cookie is kept into the temporary internet files folder. And next time you go and browse the same website again, you have sent an HTTP request message on this particular cookie 1678. Okay, cookie specific action will be taken place, and the access will be granted to you, and HTTP response message will be sent back from the web server to the client, web client. 1 week later, okay, you can again browse on the same cookie if you have not deleted the temporary internet files. Usually when you do the computer maintenance, what you do, you click on my computer, then you click on the right click on the hard disk, and you go in the properties and you press the button disk cleanup. That disk cleanup will delete the temporary internet files and temp files from your computer, just because these files will take some space on the hard disk. If you want to clean up the temporary internet files or the files which are not required anymore, you will take this action in the computer maintenance phase, okay, and these files will be deleted. But if 1 week later the cookies are there still in the temporary internet file folder, the same cookies will be used for further communication with the same website, okay, and the communication will become bit faster between the browser and the server. Okay, clear? So usual HTTP request message is sent on the same cookie, see, which ID was assigned and was kept, and second communication and third communication, cookie specific action will be taken, and the HTTP response message will be returned to you. Clear? So what cookies can bring to you? It can help you in authorization, your authorization on the web server, shopping carts, recommendation, user session state. Sometimes you use the web emails, and your email will be kept in the cookie, and it will be quickly delivered, and it will be retrieved. Have you seen, once you have filled a form on the Internet Explorer or Google Chrome, okay, you filled the form, submitted, that information is kept in the cookie. Next time you try to fill any other form, your name, your first name, second name, your phone number, your city, your country, your email, it will automatically be retrieved. From where it comes? From the cookies, because cookies has user information in it, and it will be retrieved from the cookies. So cookies are also helpful, but sometimes also dangerous. If somebody else will come and try to fill up the form with your name, automatically the information will be displayed. Yeah. Hackers can make use of this. Okay, so how to keep state protocol endpoints? They will maintain a state at the sender side and the receiver side over multiple transactions. Okay, and cookies are HTTP messages which carry the state in between the client and the server. Cookies and privacy aside, cookies permit site to learn a lot about you. This is from security point of view. A lot of information about you will be learned by the site which is going to create cookies on your computer. Okay, you may supply name and email to the sites, and your name and emails are stored on the site in their databases, and next time you just give, it will be retrieved from the cookies file. No, not the passwords. Passwords are encrypted basically, not in clear text. They are not being sent over the internet in clear text. These are encrypted. Okay, and there are different ways of doing the encryption for the password. Web cache. Now the proxy server. This is very important server. We have seen till now the working of the DNS server, the HTTP server, and now we are going to look into the working of the proxy server, how the proxy service works on the network. Okay, clear? And how it helps in the browsing. Clear? So goal is to satisfy the client request without involving origin server. The question is this, that these are the two clients computer here, okay, and this is your proxy server on the LAN. For example, if I am browsing here in this lab, okay, right now through the web browser, definitely the web page which I want to request, it will come from the internet. Okay, my request will be sent first to the DNS server in the ITDN chip. There my URL will be resolved into an IP address, and that IP address will be sent to the internet to fetch that web page from that particular web server on that particular web address, destination IP address. But every time if my request will go to fetch that web server from the web page from the web server through the internet, it will consume the bandwidth. For example, 10 times I am browsing hotmail.com, the web page of the Hotmail, 10 times I am going to browse, or the Google, 10 times I am going to browse in a day. So 10 times my request should be sent to the internet. So 10 times my request will consume the bandwidth, isn't it? So what if we will keep a copy of that web page which is not very frequently updated into a server in our LAN. For example, first time when my request will be going to the internet, it will fetch the google.com and it will be delivered to me. At the same time, we will keep the copy of that google.com page on the proxy server in our LAN. We introduced another server between the Google web server and my computer. My request will go to the origin server and a page will be fetched from there and it will come. Copy will be kept here and it will be given to me. Next time another guy is going to browse google.com. Now his request first will go to the proxy server from his computer, and in the proxy server it will be checked if the google.com is there, the web page for the google.com is there. His request will be fulfilled from the proxy server over the LAN. His request will not go to the origin server on the internet. So by this way we can save our bandwidth, because bandwidth is a very costly resource. It should be utilized for the genuine requests. For those requests which can be fulfilled from the cache of the proxy server, those requests should not be sent again to the internet. Rather, those requests should be fulfilled by the cache of the proxy server. What about the sites which are very frequently updated, like the news sites? If we get a copy of the news site from here, that will be the old copy maybe. 10 minutes ago I have browsed the Arab news. Now another guy is going to browse it after half an hour, and there is a new news on the Arab news website. So half an hour old copy will not give me is not going to give me a new news. In that case, the proxy will automatically fetch the copy of those websites which are frequently being changed, and it will keep a fresh copy on the proxy server. Have you seen the last modified time in HTTP? In the protocol header, last modified, when the page was last modified, that will indicate that how frequently this website is being updated. Have you seen here? Last modified. From here the proxy server can get the information that how frequently this website is being updated. If it is a news website, this date will be very latest, and its fresh copy must be brought from the web server and should be kept in the cache of the proxy server. It should not be an old copy, because we want to deliver, our cache should give to our client the latest news. Clear? So this is the benefit of the proxy server, that it can save your bandwidth. And the second benefit is, rather than fetching a request from the internet, if you are going to fetch a request from the internet, as compared to that, if your request is fulfilled by the proxy over the LAN, Which one will be the fastest way of fulfilling your request? Whether through the WAN or through the LAN? LAN, definitely. It will take less time to give you response back as compared to if the response is coming to you back from the WAN, from the web server. So proxy will not only save the bandwidth, but also it will speed up the process of retrieving the data. Clear?
Now, what benefit from cookies?
Cookies are on the client side to just pass on your information to the origin web server. So, okay, if you want to give some data to the web server, even the cookies will be used, okay, through the proxy. If some information needs to be updated in the database of the web server about the client, okay. For example, if you are filling some form, or if you are going to shopping something, or if you are going to pass on your information to the web server, in that case cookies will help you again to establish your session with the web server, okay, and speeding up the process of communication between you and the web server. So user sets browser web access via the cache. You have to give the proxy server address, and you know where we give the proxy server address? We usually go here, connection, LAN setting, and here address. For example, now I will give the proxy.kaau.edu.sa port 8080. Our proxy server is listing on port 8080. This is defined. Okay, now I'm going to click it OK, and I'm going to browse here. Now this browsing is being done through the proxy server. My request has gone to the proxy server, from proxy server to the Google, and Google brought me these results. Okay, HTTP cookies, Wikipedia. Now I'm going to browse this page, for example, first time. Nobody has browsed before me. Okay, so if I open this web page, okay, now the copy of the web page is kept in the proxy server of the Jamia, and one is returned to me. A cookie, also known as HTTP cookie, web cookies, browser cookies, is a small piece of data sent from the website and stored on the user web browser. Okay. Now, if you want to again browse same website, same web page, and you have set up the web proxy address into your browser, so your request from your computer will go to the proxy server. Proxy server will check in its cache. The copy of this web page is already available in the cache of the proxy server of the Jamia. So your request will be fulfilled from the cache of the proxy server. Your request will not go to the internet now to bring this web page again. So the one benefit, internet bandwidth will be saved, and the response to the client for the website will be fast. Clear? So browser send all HTTP requests to the cache first. Okay, there it will be looked into the cache, proxy cache, object in the cache. If the object is available in the cache of the proxy server, the cache will return the object to the client. Else, the cache will request the object from the origin server from the internet. Okay, then it will return the object to the client and will keep a copy of that object in the cache of the proxy server to fulfill the next request. Clear? So this is the proxy server. Look here, the HTTP request is going through the proxy, and it is going, if the copy is not there, it will go to the origin server. The response will be sent back from the origin server to the proxy server, and proxy server will keep a copy here, and the response will be given to the client. Next time this client is going to browse the same web page, it is going to send the request. Now the proxy server will check in its cache. If the copy is available, its request will not be sent to the origin server. Rather, it will be served from the cache of the proxy server. and the page will be returned. HTTP response will be given back to the client. See, the same page. It is brought one time only, once from the origin server, and the copy is kept in the cache of the proxy server. Clear? Is this concept clear? How the proxy server works in the LAN? What are the benefits? Clear? And now the question is this, that the proxy server will have different log files, because keeping so many pages in the logs of the proxy server will keep on increasing the size of the cache of the proxy server. So if you have very little capacity of the hard disk, small capacity of the hard disk, you will get a message that your hard disk is going to be full. So in that case, you have to delete the you have to clean up the log files of the cache. Or the other thing is, you have to keep the big capacity of the hard disk. Usually the cache files size are set, and the old dated pages will automatically be truncated, deleted from the cache log. Clear? Yes.
How many proxy server between client and original
How many?
proxy server?
This is the proxy server in our own LAN. So every company will have its own proxy server to serve the requests over the LAN.
This one?
Yeah. Every company will have its own proxy server in the LAN to keep the copies of the web pages which are being browsed, okay, in its cache, to serve the further requests from the cache of the proxy server. So it is not a question that how many proxy servers should be in between the client and the web server. Okay, we are concerned with our own proxy server.
Maybe go from proxy server
Yeah.
for KU
Yeah.
and go to proxy server for
Yeah, it
for
can
the-
go. Yeah, for the STC.
for GT.
Yeah, for the STC. This is good question, that in case he's asking that how many proxy servers in between my client browser and the web server, might be the request will be fulfilled from the proxy of the KU. If it is not, might be the next service provider's cache, STC cache, because STC will also have a proxy server in its LAN, and it will maintain a cache also. Okay, we will stop here because the time is finished. We will continue more about the web caching in the next lecture. Thank you.